Hello, welcome to episode 14 of Korean Grammar Breakdown. This is a special edition. The overview of off form and past tense verb bases. Now, this really should have been episode 0 because we've already seen a lot of this stuff and it takes up a lot of time to explain in each episode. And anyway, this off form and past tense bases are used a lot. We've seen already both of these. Now, off form at the end of a sentence is the intimate style ending. And adding yo to the off is the ayo polite style ending. And we've seen it. Now, this episode summarizes the rule for making this off form. It's also used, we've seen it with ado doeda, where the off form is used to connect a verb in the middle of a sentence to conjunctions, and sometimes it's used to connect verbs with other verbs, with auxiliary verbs, and there's a lot of different situations we're going to be seeing. Now, I'll be referring back to this episode. This is, I would try to do a screen capture or somehow record this one. Because we will be coming back to this, and even after studying the language for 6 years, I still have to come back to some of this stuff occasionally because there's just a lot of rules and a lot of different cases to forget. And so, if I would have had this episode 5.5 years ago, I'll tell you, it would have helped me so much. And that's all I have to say about that. Okay. These rules involve something called vowel harmony, which I decided not to really describe. You can go read about it somewhere. It's more important to just remember the rules. And plus, with the vowel, there's actually some debate among linguists about the classification of some of the vowels anyway. Doesn't seem to be one accepted system for vowel harmony. There's like 3 I've seen, maybe possibly 4. So it's just remember the rules is the main thing. Now we know about hada verbs already. Really, you drop da and add ya to create the off form. Usually contracts to he, and ya contracting to hate for past tense base. There's some examples for you there. We've already seen that anyway. Okay. Now rule 2. I haven't. If the verb root's last vowel is a or o, you add a or at. Okay. Now I included in this list ya, yo, and wa. Now I've only seen ya in 1 or 2 verbs, and they're both irregular verbs that don't have a different rule anyway. Okay, I've never seen a verb with the last vowel of yo or wa so far anyway. But if you did happen to come across one, write me a letter. Anyways, they would theoretically fall into this rule 2, the being yang vowels. Anyway, but there's some examples for you. Okay, that's it. That's that. Now, all other verb roots, you add a, and that's why this is called the a form, and you add a for the past tense. And this is why every grammar book almost lists things like ayo and ado and asa, because it's the most common case, and the means just when you see that. For example, if you look up asa in a grammar book, when you see that, you just have to know that means that you're applying these rules presented here in this episode to the verb before connecting it to what you're connecting it to. Like I said, if I would have known this 5.5 years ago, it sure would have saved me a lot of grief, because most books don't seem to want to just spit this out. They give examples here, like I did for the first 14 episodes or first 13 episodes. I kind of didn't want to at first because it's such a lot, it's such a big thing. But um, you're gonna need to look back at this episode again, I'm sure. Now, I'll cover a couple of these examples here. Sheem da, Sheem plus Shema, and Shema. Okay, see that? Now, got she da is the honorific form of walk. Now, when the honorific morpheme she is used, it's considered part of the verb root for these rules and in other cases in Korean. Okay, you see that? How that works? And so on, okay? Now, the situation with contractions, which apply here and also in other situations in Korean as well, you're going to run into contraction situations. Now, if it says usual here, that means pretty much all the time except for in formal or written contexts. And required means always, a rule, okay? And a couple of them have required for only these two cases, certain cases. So there's your list. If you can try to memorize that, or certainly I'd write that down and paste it on your refrigerator. This one, because it's not easy to remember, and this is pretty essential. For whatever reason, the past base of dwaya isn't often contracted. Probably because when you write it as one character, it's just very scrunched together. So, and so this list covers about 95, 97%. There are other vowels that end verbs. About 5 or 6 others, but they're mostly pretty rare. A lot of them only have 1 or 2 examples. If you have some doubt, you certainly about the situation, either context or the verb, don't contract. And if you're speaking to a Korean, they'll probably they should understand you, and maybe they'll correct you, and you learn that those rare cases like kind of that way. My book has the full list though too. So let's see. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So if you like my channel, subscribe, and have a good day. Bye.